Serba Dinamik Holdings Unit SD International Sukuk is said to have defaulted on the latter's $7 million or 29.53 million ringgit semi-annual coupon payment on its outstanding $222 million senior Islamic bond. According to analysts with Malaysian Rating Corp or MARC, the coupon payment was due on November 9th, and Serba Dinamik confirmed that no payment was made during the 30-day grace period, which ended yesterday. Citing an increasing likelihood of a cross-default trigger, the ratings agency said it has downgraded Serba Dinamik's Islamic Medium-Term Notes or IMTN rating to CIS from BBIS negative. It said Serba Dinamik's Islamic Commercial Papers ICP rating remains at Mark 4IS, which is the lowest category under the non-investment grade, reflecting the heightened risk of non-repayment on the outstanding 100 million ringgit ICP. Should Sukuk holders declare an event of default, Mark said the ratings of both programs will be downgraded to DIS. S&P Global Ratings analysts also downgraded Serba Dinamik's rating. In a note today, it said it has lowered its issuer credit rating on Serba Dinamik and issue ratings on the company's guaranteed senior unsecured sukuks due May 2022 and March 2025 to D from CC. This reflects its view that Serba Dinamik will generally be in default of its debt obligations following the missed coupon payment. It estimates 70% of Serba Dinamik's total outstanding debt as of September 30th, 2021 could be liable for immediate repayment. Top Glove Corp saw its first quarter FY22 net profit shrink 69.5% quarter-on-quarter to 185.72 million ringgit, dragged by declining glove average selling prices or ASPs and higher operating cost as a result of lower utilization rates. In a filing with the Bourse, it said raw material costs fell at a much slower pace in comparison to ASPs, hurting profit. Revenue fell 25.2% to 1.58 billion ringgit from the preceding quarter. Both earnings and revenue also contracted on a yearly basis. Net profit plunged 92.1% year-on-year from 2.36 billion ringgit, while top line contracted by 66.7% from 4.76 billion ringgit previously. Notably, Top Glove's earnings have been on a downtrend for the past 3 quarters since its earnings peaked in the second quarter of FY21, recording 2.87 billion ringgit on the back of 5.37 billion ringgit in revenue. It announced a lower dividend of 1.2 cent per share, 93% lower than the 16.5 cent dividend paid a year ago. Managing Director Datuk Lee Kim Miao said the group is prepared for a challenging environment and has built up its reserves over the last 2 years. This will enable the glove maker to go through leaner times and leverage any merger and acquisition opportunities which may arise. While still confident about opportunities even in the hardest of times, Top Glove will be cautious and defer its expansion plans to be in line with market trends and the demand-supply situation. At the close, Top Glove's share price fell 10.37% to 2 ringgit 16 cent, giving it a market capitalization of 17.7 billion ringgit. Holders of Felda's Malaysian government guaranteed 9.9 billion ringgit Islamic bonds have demanded that the conglomerate take the necessary action to procure Putrajaya's obligation to guarantee the proper and punctual payment of profit payments for the sukuk, which was issued under the Murabahah principle. According to a letter from the Felda Bonds Trustee Amanah Raya Trustees to Felda Director General Datuk Amiruddin Abdul Sattar, holders of the group's sukuk also demanded during an EGM yesterday that Felda obtain the necessary approvals for the bonds. Amanah Raya Trustees said that as confirmed by scrutineer Cygnus Technology Solutions and as declared in the EGM, Special Resolutions 1 and Special Resolutions 2 are taken as passed. Amanah Raya Trustees, which did not specify what the special resolutions were, also reminded Felda to take the necessary action of the condition imposed by the sukuk holders at the meeting. At the time of reporting, Felda has yet to respond to the edgemarkets.com's inquiries on the EGM. The Department of Statistics Malaysia, or DOSM, says Malaysia's wholesale and retail trade sales in October jumped to the highest level seen on record, rebounding 5.4% year-on-year and 7.7% month-on-month to 116.4 billion ringgit. Citing Chief Statistician Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Mahidin, Purnama said the wholesale trade subsector continued to record a positive growth of 4.4% to 55.8 billion ringgit, supported by a 10.6% growth in the food, beverages and tobacco segment. He said retail trade expanded 5.1% to 46.5 billion ringgit and noted that the motor vehicles subsector had bounced back by 10.2% to 14.2 billion ringgit after a series of double-digit negative growth since June 2021. As for other October data released by DOSM today, the country's Industrial Production Index, or IPI, rose 5.5% from a year earlier, as manufacturing output rose 8% and the Electricity Index rose by 4.1%. On a month-on-month basis, the IPI increased by 4.8%. Meanwhile, manufacturing sales grew 15.3% year-on-year to 140.7 billion ringgit in October, driven by the petroleum, chemical, rubber and plastics products subsector, which rose 27%. The sales value increased by 4.0% from the previous month. Chin Hin Group Property, or CHGP, says its 65% owned subsidiary Kayangan Kemas is buying a 60% stake in Magna Setia to diversify into the infrastructure construction industry. In a statement, CHGP said Kayangan Kemas inked a conditional share sale agreement with Magna Setia's shareholders Liu Johor, Chai Yan Min and Yap Seng Hee today to acquire the stake for 9 million ringgit cash. The acquisition, which is expected to be completed by the first quarter of 2022, will enable the group to form its own in-house construction team and provide services in relation to the construction of public infrastructure. It will also add on to the existing order book of Kayangan Kemas that is worth 1 billion ringgit. CHGP Executive Director Chia Ho Chun said the proposed acquisition will enable CHGP to expand its jobs to a wider scope within the construction industry, which includes public infrastructure development such as bridges, railway tracks and highways. He said the deal is expected to contribute positively towards the future earnings of the company. Shares of CHGP settled unchanged at 88 cents today, valuing the group at 383.09 million ringgit.